Hey, everybody. Welcome to Between the Laughs. Between the Laughs. Listen, I am here with my boy. We do this show together, Gabe Lopez. But here's the thing. We did an episode where he asked me some questions, and people really enjoyed it. And because we don't have guests yet, which what guests do, I guess, is kind of reveal your perspective, right? Because if somebody says, oh, I think we should blank in this country, whatever that blank is. Yeah. And I go, oh, do you really believe that? Then you go, oh, okay, he's on this side. Or if I go, yeah, we should do that. He's on that side. It kind of reveals character.
Yeah.
We're not there yet. So what this show is going to be is he is going to interview me. So this is his show. He controls it. I am just going to answer questions on this one, questions that probably you guys all have. Inevitably, I'll interview him, but today is him interviewing me. Between the Laughs, Gabe Lopez interviewing Carlos Mencia. I will only respond now to whatever you ask.
All right. Welcome to Between the Laughs with Gabe Lopez and my guest tonight, Carlos Mencia. So,
I'm fucking scared. I'm not going to lie to you, dude. I'm so scared.
My hands are clammy. He told me there are no limitations.
I am so scared.
And we went through examples, and he's like, it's no holds barred, whatever you can think of. And ever since I've started, and I've known you for well over a decade, but since I started this two-man show with you, this residency that we've been doing in Vegas, a lot of fans, friends, comics, peers, always seem to come back to one particular thing that unfortunately you're known for. And I would love to clear the air because you and I have had multiple conversations with this, and it comes down to stupid, and it's been so long. So, and when I say that, you guys know what I'm talking about, especially if you guys are purists and fans of comedy for a long time. I'm talking about the Joe Rogan, Carlos Mencia thing. Mm-hmm. And I know people are going to be listening to this just the fact that I said Joe Rogan in front of Carlos Mencia. Right. And I want to concentrate on obviously the accusation, but the before, the during, and the after. So we can prepare your mind, because I promise you, this is raw. He does not know what I'm going to ask. I don't even know what I'm going to ask. But before, when I was just a fan of stand-up, and I was just a fan of Carlos Mencia, at the time I think Joe Rogan was just an up-and-coming comic. And I believe he was trying to become an actor. And, I know he was a Boston comic that moved over to the States. And he got into acting. He was in a sitcom. I don't want to mess it up. I don't think it was News Radio, but something to that.
Before News Radio, he was a ball player. It was a baseball thing on Fox or something like that.
Was it? Okay. And this is before Fear Factor, because Fear Factor I know was a big ratings boost for him. Before Fear Factor. So he was a comic, and he would perform in L.A. all the time, just the way you did. So the Comedy Store, the Laugh Factory, the Improv, and stuff like that. Right. And so first of all, let's concentrate on before the Rogan thing. Where was your career? You were top of the food chain. You were doing arenas all over the country. Was there a big tour around this time? I'm trying to pinpoint, because I know this is around the Rogan thing was around 2006, 2007. I don't remember the date. So let's talk about
the Rogan thing started. So when he first came to Los Angeles, I remember how we met. I was sitting by the door, or standing in between the door that goes down the stairs of the original room and the bathroom to the right. And, at this point, the Willie Barcenas of the world, those guys had kind of already been clamoring, about the joke stealing thing. Yes. But that was all the Latinos performing, coming together, and kind of, you know what I mean? Yeah. So when I first started doing stand-up, I was a version of I didn't know what stand-up was. So I discovered stand-up as an adult after 18 years old. I wasn't those kids that saw it and said, I want to be a comedian. Yeah. I discovered it when I was 19, and I started doing stand-up when I was 20. So I think I discovered stand-up in December-ish of my 19s, and then by the time it got to March-ish, I was already going on stage at the age of 20. So that's kind of how.
So you started earlier, because I didn't touch a stage till I was 26.
Yes, 20 years old. But the thing is that I didn't have that guy to look at.
Yeah.
Right.
There was nobody to emulate, nobody.
I didn't know who comedy was.
So you just watched everybody on stage.
Everybody.
You would watch them.
I was a little bit of everybody, right? I was a little bit of a lot of guys. I was a little bit of Frank Manzano.
Yeah.
I was a little bit of, Frankie Renzulli. I was a little bit of Charles Kozar, So as a young comic, I was emulating not the greats, but the guys that I saw on a daily basis at the Comedy Store because I was working there pretty much as I started comedy. So I'm watching these guys. So I, unlike a lot of comedians who say, I was doing the act that I saw of my hero who was, George Carlin. I was George Carlin. Or a lot of people say like Richard Pryor.
Okay.
I wasn't that guy. I was doing a little bit of everybody.
Yeah.
And so in the beginning of my career, I was not just emulating those guys, but I was them.
Yeah.
I was taking little pieces of who they are and trying to incorporate that into me as opposed to doing like, hey, this guy sounds like Paul Rodriguez, right? There's a little bit of everybody. And so that created in the beginning that thing of like, dude, Carlos is stealing jokes, right? Because I was young and I was just like, I was everybody else. I was what a young comedian is.
But you're learning on the job. You are on stage learning how to be stand-up. You're just not like I watched Eddie Murphy Raw over and over and over and over again, and that's why I started emulating without realizing it.
No, I'm like, oh my God, John Caponera. I love the way he does this joke. I want to try to do a joke like that. Oh my God, George Wallace, he's amazing. Oh my God, AJ Jamal.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my God, Charles Kozar. Oh my God, Steve Greenlee.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Frank Greenlee. Oh wow, these So I took little pieces of all those in the beginning, but by the time '96 came around, right? By the time my second special from HBO was out, I was me.
Yeah.
At that point,
you'd found your own rhythm. You found your own style. There's
everything that I said, as you know now, came from my heart.
Yeah.
Not even my brain.
Yeah.
Right. I was done with all that, but those things reverberated, right? Because I was always successful, so they kind of never went away.
Yeah.
The Carlos Mencia, that's not his real name. His real name is Ned. He's not Mexican. He's German. He's culturally appropriating. All that kind of stuff was people talking and basically, this is why he's funny type shit. This is why.
So they were trying to find a reason, an excuse on why you were as successful as you were. Would that be
correct?
A good way?
And it was never because I'm good at what I do.
Because you were just talented. You put time in. You studied the craft.
Correct. No, none of that. It was all this other stuff, right? It was all this cultural appeal. When in reality, I think I'm the first Latino comedian in this country to go ethnic, as opposed to try to not be, right? So you take an actor like Oscar Isaac, right?
Yeah.
Who's had an unbelievable career. I think his last name is like Hernandez or Jimenez or Gutierrez or something.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's from, I think, Guatemala.
Oh, wow.
So Oscar Isaac is Guatemalan. Here's the question. If he hadn't changed his name to Oscar Isaac and kept it Oscar Hernandez, would he have gotten all those roles?
Would he have gotten the opportunities that he's received?
Correct. Would he have been cast as an Italian? Would he have been cast as the X-Man who's blue, who takes other people's powers, as a Latino? I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't.
Would people have recognized his talent with the Hernandez name?
Right. Or would they have pigeonholed him to a bunch of Latino shit?
Yeah. The gang
I
member,
don't know.
The gang member on Law and Order. This is your wheelhouse.
Well, you know who played the gang member on Law and Order? Let me see. Well, you watch Law and Order, bro. So many of these guys when they were young.
Oh yeah.
You look at them. So Law and Order SVU had what's the name of the Latino actor right now that's huge? He was in 1985 or wait, 1984 it was, right? It was Wonder Woman 1984. The bad guy in that. What's his name?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know his name.
Okay, so you know that guy started as a pimp in one of those shows, right? In Law and Order.
And so many
SVU.
amazing actors. CSI Miami, Law and Order,
Right.
like, or any of the CSIs, all those had a role.
Right.
That was their big break.
Right.
I think Bradley Cooper started off in
Right.
one of those things.
Right.
So
Yes, he was. Yeah. So I was the first person to have a name that worked already, right? My birth name is Ned Arnell Mencia. That's my birth name.
Yeah.
My birth father, his last name is Holness, Holness. That was what I used to think was
is that
my
a
last name.
Honduran name?
Holness, I think we tracked it, and my great-great-grandfather might have come through Germany before World War II, settled in, I think, UK, and then came to the Cayman Islands, and then my grandfather was born in the Cayman Islands and crossed over to Honduras, and that's where the Holness
Got
comes
it.
from.
So your 23andMe might have a little bit of a splash of German in your,
Maybe.
yeah.
Like, but not
Not where you know for sure.
no, like, yeah, it's almost, but it's possible.
Yes.
Through the lineage.
Okay, great. Because I just want to make
But
sure
that's not my last name.
nobody has any questions here. That's what I want to make sure, that nobody has
It could
any
be.
questions here.
But if it is, it's like 165th.
And who gives a shit? Like,
You know
okay.
what it is? It's like me going, I'm a Native American.
Yeah.
I'm 164.
Yeah.
And everybody goes, that's as about as German as I might even be. Because it would be great-great-grandfather
Yeah.
removed. So it's probably like 164th at the
Okay.
most, whatever that little thing, a sliver on the pie.
Yeah.
So my birth name should have been Holness, but when I was born, my mom was like, no, I'm going to give you away to your uncle and aunt. So Mencia is your last name. I have my mother's maiden name. So I'm the only Mencia in my family. Everybody else is a Mejia, M-E-J-I-A,
Uh-huh.
or Holness on the other side. But I'm not any of those. But I had a name that I could have used, Ned
Yeah.
Holness.
Yeah.
That was a perfect middle of the road. Nobody in white America or middle America at the time was going to go, oh, who is this guy? Oh, what is he going to talk about? Oh, he's a Latino. That was a perfect name. I'm the first person that I know of in this business
That
that went the opposite side.
I wanted the Latino name.
Right, because Mitzi Shore said, you can't be an angry Mexican named Ned. That was her quote. And I remember going, well, my mom's Mexican, but I was born in Honduras. And she went, yeah, okay. Well, you can't be an angry Mexican named Ned. And I didn't understand what she meant, but what she meant was at the time, the word Latino didn't fly.
Yeah.
Today, I can go up on stage and say Latino,
Yeah.
and everybody gets it. Back then,
Back
when I
then,
said Latino,
It wasn't a thing.
no, people were like, Latin, like you speak Latin? Like it wasn't a thing. So going to that, right? White America is over 50%, 60% when this happened.
Yeah.
Latin America, especially Mexican Americans, maybe 6%.
Yeah. And you.
I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
If I'm going to go, I'm going to go to the 60%.
Yeah.
Not the 8%.
That makes sense.
It doesn't make any sense that I'm going to take advantage of the numbers and go to the small number. It makes no fucking sense whatsoever. But I understood Mitzi when she looked at me and she said, this is what people are going to think about you. Don't fight it. Don't fight what people's perception is.
I agree with her, because if you told me that we've been working together and your name is Ned Holness, looking the way you do, that sounds like the stage name. That sounds.
Exactly. So my name that I could have used sounded like a stage name.
Yes.
My real last name, Mencia, sounded like me.
Yeah.
And I literally go, I have an uncle named Carlos. I have 4 uncles. And one of them, I wouldn't go, Porfirio. That's
No.
way too, that's way too beaner.
Yeah.
That is just on a whole nother level, right?
Absolutely.
That's, yeah, even me, I'm like, okay, that Porfirio is
Yeah.
just like, I just got here from
Yeah.
Mexico. It's just way too salty. So, and then Carlos. And so I was like, I have an uncle named Carlos. And she went, Carlos Mencia. That's melodious. And they used to have these little postcards out in the front.
Yeah.
And she grabbed the postcard and wrote Carlos Mencia on it and signed it 1988. And I have that postcard that she signed. And that's when she took a really big interest in my career, because she kind of helped me out with that name. I don't know if I'm the first person to do it.
Yeah.
I never really thought about it. I never really thought about how treacherous to other comedians it was that she began to take that kind of interest in me.
I would say the jealousy started right there. Because
immediately.
if Mitzi Shore took her magic wand and just pointed it on you, and she took an interest in you, that means she saw something in you.
Yeah.
More importantly, that meant whoever she didn't talk to, she didn't see anything in them.
And she gave me a shitload of spots. So I would have 3 to 5 spots a week on a 7-day week. Mm-hmm. And because I worked at the door. So during the day, I worked as her runner. I was her gopher. I'd go do whatever they needed me to do.
Yeah.
And then at night, I was the door guy. So when somebody didn't show up or didn't show up on time,
you're there.
I'm there. So I'm getting spots. I'm getting more spots than anybody at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
At that time. This is 89, 90, 89 to 94.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting more spots than anybody there. Even the greats. Because the greats are coming in and out.
Yeah.
They're popping in. I'm there every single day.
Got it.
And I'm just
So you're getting reps in,
Killing
way
it.
more reps.
Yes.
And at the Comedy Store of all places. So
Yes.
one of the holy grails of comedy, and you're getting more reps than anybody there.
Correct.
Of course.
correct.
You're being groomed. And then you're getting to meet the stars of the time because you weren't a star yet.
Yep.
And so now you're rubbing elbows, and now they're seeing you as peers. And at the time, let me ask you this about that time when you're the door guy. What other Latino comics aside from like a Paul Rodriguez that I can think of that were around?
So interestingly enough,
successfully,
they had one Latino comedian that was kind of a regular. His name was Tony Ray. All right. And here's the interesting thing. I'll never forget. I did my showcase for Mitzi. I walk off stage. She calls me over. I lean down. She said, "I'm going to make you a non-paid regular." Non-paid regular at the time meant that the first 2 spots on every night were non-paid regulars. They were basically, you're opening the show. The show starts at 8. The show's going to start at 8.
Yeah.
We're not waiting. If there's 2 people, there's 2
We're
people.
starting at
If
8.
it's full, it's full.
Yeah.
We're starting at 8. And the first 2 spots go to non-paid regulars. So I was at first a non-paid regular. And I got excited. And I started walking down the stairs. And then I heard somebody say to Tony Ray, "Oh, bro, check that guy out right there. He's the one that's now going to take your spots." That's the first thing that I got introduced to from a Latino perspective. And I remember just going, "Wait, what?" And then I just let it go.
Was Tony Ray an unpaid regular at the time?
He was, he's the guy that I took spots from. He's the guy that had a lot of spots before me. And then all of a sudden, Carlos Mencia shows up. Carlos Mencia becomes Carlos Mencia, Mitzi Shore's boy, and I'm getting all the spots. And these guys, they're getting spots, but they're not getting the amount of spots. And he's getting way less spots. So so all the flags that I missed, that's a flag that I missed, right?
Got it.
I should have immediately went up to Tony and been like, "Hey, Tony, my name is Carlos. How's it going? Like, I think you're funny. You know what I mean? I have nothing to do with spots."
Well, how old are you at this time when you get this?
20.
You're 20 when Mitzi's giving you
20.
anointing you the unpaid spot.
20.
Okay.
And of course,
You're still a kid.
I'm filled with so much cockiness because that's all I have. I improve shit.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Nobody knows me outside of the Comedy Store.
No. And all of a sudden, the first things I get are people that are kind of looking at me weird because, he changed his name. Mitzi got to him. That's Mitzi's pet now. That's Mitzi's, because she always had a pet.
Yeah.
So I was the pet. And then on this other side, I'm taking spots away from the Latino who had spots before me. I didn't see this. What I saw was I have the opportunity to get on stage and be great and watch all these greats and learn from them. And I looked at it, bro, like I stopped going to college so that I could go to the college that I wanted to go to.
Yeah.
The College of Comedy.
Yeah.
Being taught to me by the greats and by those that a lot of people don't know, but had great moments or had things to teach me, whether to do this or not to do that, or to stick to this. Like a guy like Charles Cozart, what he taught me was, when you commit to a character, you commit to the goddamn character.
You stick to it.
And if you bomb, you bomb. And he would go on stage sometimes and just destroy. And other times when they didn't get his character, he would eat a dick. But he committed to that. So I learned all these things from these guys. What I didn't know was that, my cockiness was seen as arrogance. That's number one. I had no idea that was going on, bro. Zero. I was just so focused on jokes and writing and creating and being funny and being good that I didn't see any of that stuff. I also didn't know that most people aren't like me. I want to hear the truth, right? I don't want you to whitewash the truth.
Yeah.
I don't want you to rub my shoulders before you tell me something bad. Just let's get it out.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
Yeah, rip the Band-Aid off.
Let's do it.
Let's
That's me.
go.
I didn't realize that most people aren't like me. Most people don't want to be told soft things. Most people don't want to be approached with truth. You know, I grew up with 11 sisters and 6 brothers, and I'm one of the youngest. So my parents didn't have time for bullshit.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up like that. You know what I mean? My dad would say, "Mijo, we're going to go here and you can't come because of this and this and this," and that's it. And there was no point in me going, "But Dad, why?" That was it. I knew that was the case, and okay, so done.
I like that better because there was nothing personal. When your dad's telling you this, Mijo, this is what's happening and you can't go.
Yeah.
It wasn't personal.
It was not, and I didn't get hurt, but I thought people were like me, and they're not. Comedians are very sensitive people, right? Like, I'll give you an example of something I'm talking about. We used to do this thing in, I think they did it in LA for a little bit, but it was really big in San Antonio. It was the Latino Laugh Festival. I remember one time I was sitting down. I'm not going to name the comedians, right? This is something that maybe in podcasts before I would have done. So we're sitting there, and we're all talking about comedy. And there's about 7, 8 of us. And I looked around, and I said, "Listen, guys, I love stand-up comedy. I'm never going to stop." And I went, "If you get a TV show, you'll stop doing stand-up. If you get a TV show and you're successful, you'll stop doing stand-up. You'll stop doing stand-up. That guy will not. That guy will not. I will not." So I told like 6 dudes, if you ever become successful, you're not gonna do comedy because it's not in your DNA. And these 2 other guys, they go, "These guys it is." If I told you who those people were, I was exactly right. I was 100% exactly right. Some of those guys got success, and they stopped doing stand-up or they stopped touring in ways. And the 2 that I pointed out never stopped touring. Huge successes.
Well, since they're still touring, can we bring up those names? Since obviously that's a positive thing. Let's not bring up the other ones.
Okay, so the one I'll say this one. The one that I go, he's never gonna stop doing stand-up, no matter how many acting gigs or movies he gets. Fluffy.
Wow.
So he was there, and I looked at him and I said, "That guy's never gonna stop doing stand-up. He just loves doing stand-up. He enjoys it too much. It's just a big part of his DNA."
Yeah.
And he's had success outside.
that's
He's had movies,
Yeah.
but he never stops doing stand-up.
No.
I was right.
That's a great example, just so we know the caliber of comic that was in the room. That's
Correct.
all I'm trying to prove.
The problem was there was no reason for me to say that. And I wasn't being challenging. I wasn't being a dick. From my perspective, I was literally just saying, "Look, guys, you guys don't love stand-up the way we do. And it's okay." And they were kind of fighting me on it. And I go, "Look, if you became successful in a TV show, you wouldn't keep doing stand-up because it's not your thing." The irony of it is, in the middle of this conversation / argument, I go, "Well, shit, guys, I gotta go." "No, man, this is a great conversation." "No, I'm gonna host the midnight show. I want to host it." "Dude, you don't have to do the midnight show. That's for like great." I go,
I'm proving my point.
Point proven. And I left, and I did. Moments like that are moments now that I look back at and go, "Man, I made enemies out of those people
For nothing.
for no reason.
Just because you opened your mouth.
Just because I was stupid and I opened my mouth, and because I didn't understand that they're not like me. They don't. I don't harbor ill will. You know, I did an interview the other day on a podcast, and the podcast started with, "Do you hate Joe Rogan?" And I remember pausing and going, "No, I don't. I hate what was done to me, but I'm not going to do that to somebody else. I'm not going to put that on somebody else. That's not me." So there were a lot of flags back then that I didn't see, that I didn't notice. That being said, listen, did I push the envelope with the light? Yeah, I did. Did I, run long? Yeah, I did. Did I pop in, once Mencia was going on and just, bump anybody and everybody?
Take over a night?
Yeah, but not in my defense, because it sounds like there's a defense. I will say, and you can attest to this, every person that was a comedian, that was a nobody and became somebody, bumped other people.
Absolutely.
It's a thing. And it's a right that you earn by becoming successful. So when it came to me, I couldn't wait. Because I'd been like, look, I started here in 1988. It's 2004. I busted my ass. I've been working at this club on a consistent basis for all that time, trying to bring people here. I can go on stage now and go up to the belly room and bump somebody, go down to the original room and bump somebody, then go into the main room and bump somebody, and then go across the street to the Improv and bump somebody, and then go across the street to the Laugh Factory and bump somebody. Yeah, I deserve that, because that's what was done before me. That's how I looked at it and saw it. I was so focused on me and what to do and how to be and all of this stuff that I just couldn't see all these things happening around me. I couldn't see all these feelings I was hurting and these egos I was bruising and these enemies that I was making. I didn't see any of that, bro. And I could have stopped it. I could have done something. I could have behaved differently. I wish I could go back and look at myself and say, hey, bro, just look around. There's other people here. It's a different time, too. It changed with millennials. My generation, like you, we paid our dues.
Yeah.
We didn't have a problem paying our dues. It was part of our process.
We embraced it. It was just part of the process.
We embraced it. Cut to 2004. Wait, but I have a spot. Why is he going on? I'm on the list. He's not. Why can't he call in? Why? I don't understand. It was that attitude. It wasn't he deserves it.
Yeah. No, these entitled.
Correct. I'm entitled, and to this day, I'm just seen differently. You and I were talking about this the other day. Carlos Mencia pops into a Saturday night show at the Laugh Factory. He goes on stage at midnight and gets off at 3 o'clock in the morning. See, this is the shit we're talking about. This is what Carlos does. He goes on long, he stays on long, blah, 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 blah. The wait staff, oh my God, he kept us here, blah, 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 blah. We weren't, everything mostly negative.
No, but other comics, before you go, because there are other comics that did this too, that for some reason I never heard any negativity.
Correct.
When I say, and let's not talk race, because Chappelle was one of them, and Dane Cook was another one at the time that were very popular at going, and it's almost like they were trying to outdo each other.
Right.
Dane did 7 hours last night.
Right.
Well, Chappelle did 8 hours last night.
And it was positive.
And it was positive.
Correct. For me, it wasn't, right? For me, it was negative. And so I understand, I understand what happened. I hurt a lot of people's feelings really badly. I mean, really badly.
Unintentionally, but you did.
Never did it on purpose.
Of course.
Never did it on purpose.
You just had these thoroughbred blinders on, and you're just on this track, and you're trying to get through this track as fast as you can.
And when it comes to the joke stealing thing, I've said this many times. I've recorded pretty much all my shows since 1994. If you're a comedian and you want to accuse me of something, give me a call. You can get a hold of me somewhere. It's not like it's hard to find me. You can get a hold of me through my publicist, DM me, whatever, and say, hey, man, I did this joke. This is when I started doing it. I'll literally go on my archives. Most of it I'll probably remember. I go, oh, shit, I remember when I wrote that joke. This is when I wrote it. When did you start doing that joke? And then we'll deal with it. And this is something that you know. This happened with you. I will tell you the story so you guys understand. And this is how I've always dealt with this. When somebody accuses me of stealing a joke, I try to get a hold of them and speak to them to their faces and say, hey, I heard you said this. Is this what's going on? And every single fucking time, as you know, they act like, oh, I never said that, or no, I don't know what he's talking about, or all of a sudden, and it happened with him, where he was telling me about some comedian that literally goes on stage, and one of his bits is, I used to love Carlos Mencia until I saw him perform, and then he did this, and then I saw that he stole all those jokes. All right. So then I go, oh, shit, you know this guy, you work with this guy. He goes, yeah, I give this guy spots on my show. Cool. Tell him that I want to talk to him. No reply. Ask him if you can give me his number. No reply. Please call him and tell him I want to know when, what joke. No reply. So the dude accused me of stealing some shit. Yeah. And when I came to him and said, okay, what was it? And that happens every single time that comes up.
Well, I've been with you in multiple cities where radio stations or podcasts where they'll want to talk about the stealing thing. Mm-hmm. And what I admire that you do, because you face it head on. You are very much like, I don't mind you talking about it as long as the person that's accusing me is in the same room so we can talk about it face to face.
Correct.
I've never seen you shy away from the conversation.
No.
And then they don't want to talk about it anymore because all they want to do is talk about the drama, but no solution. Nobody wants a solution to the problem. Nobody wants to see you made nice or the comic saying you did or you didn't. I've never seen that because these radio DJs or podcast hosts never put the effort into making that happen. So now that we're into the stealing, okay, so now the accusations happen. Let's talk about like the Rogan thing happened. It happened last night. And for this scenario.
So the first time I met Joe, I was describing this. He came up to me and he shook my hand and he said, hi, I'm Joe Rogan. And I said to him.
Is this at the store?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was describing it earlier. I was standing, by the door and in between. He came, stood next to me. And I looked at him and I said, I know you're new here, but there's like rumors that I steal jokes.
This is your first conversation with Joe?
My first conversation with Joe. And I said to him, like, be careful hanging out with me. I don't want I don't want the shit that I'm dealing with
to rub off on you.
And he said, no, I've been watching you perform. You work hard. I can see that you do your own shit. I've been watching you. And we became friends. And we would hang out together, work out, go play pool together.
So you were friends with Joe Rogan. This is something I didn't even know. You were friends with Joe Rogan.
Yeah. We were like, friends, hanging out, working out together. We would go to the Bally's in Sherman Oaks. He had a house on Sherman Oaks off of Moore Park, I think it was. He and I, he's a much better pool player than me. But, we played pool a lot together. We were friends.
And how long from that first night to the disastrous night?
It was probably a few years later.
So there was some time.
It's, after it started, I think a lot of other people, were saying things about me. And I think that what it was is, I feel like everybody looks at my career back then differently than I do. Everybody looks at, when people describe to me that period of time, and they're like, man, Carlos, you were the guy. I never felt that. I was on a network that was cable, getting, 2 million views, 2-point-something million views.
Yeah.
There were shows getting, I think, 15, 20 million views on cable. I wasn't a household name.
Yeah.
It wasn't like let me put it to you this way. There was never a period of time in my career where I had to hide who I was at an airport because so many people were like, oh, shit, Carlos Mencia is here.
Yeah.
It was, I never felt that kind of fame. I never felt that kind of, it just never felt that way to me. So when people say you were that guy, I didn't get it. And I don't understand still to this day. I don't get it and I know it exists, by the way, but when people say to me like, dude, you're an intimidating guy to talk to. Because I tell people like, dude, why don't you just fucking come up to me?
Yeah.
Why don't you just look at me and say this? And they're like, you're an intimidating guy. Like, how? There's nothing physical about me that says I'm going to kick your ass.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. Or I didn't know what that was. So I spoke to him. We were friends. And then I started touring a lot. And once I started touring and I couldn't show up to the Comedy Store as much, things started to change.
So the rumors started flying.
Everything started going. And then it became, well, he steals jokes, but you have to pay attention to it because he changes just enough so that you don't think that it's a joke, but it is. It's like all this fucking shit. And I'm going, when did I have time? I literally went in, did a spot, went downstairs, did a spot, went over there, did a spot, went across the street, did a spot, went to the other place, did a spot, and then left. I didn't watch anybody.
Yeah.
I didn't hang out.
And then you hop on a plane the next morning.
Yeah, and I'm gone. So I didn't know where all this was coming from. And then comes the day where the video came out, or the video moment. So the video moment was
when nobody's supposed to be videoing
Nobody's
in the
supposed to
Comedy
be.
Store. So it was weird how this video came out.
It had already been talked about, right? We had already been told you cannot videotape shows, right?
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
us. We knew that. So Fox was about to go on stage. I was talking to him, and then Joe said, oh, this guy opens for Carlos Mencia and the Joke Thief, whatever. So I went up on stage, and I grabbed the mic, and I said, Joe, what jokes have I stolen from you? Like, tell everybody. And then it was like, well, you didn't steal from me. And then that's when Ari was like, well, you stole my joke about the wall and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, that's like you can't, that's not a joke you can say you steal.
Yeah.
That's a joke that like 10 comedians have done.
So Joe Rogan was defending Ari Shaffir? Is that how this all started?
No, this started because, so Ari Shaffir was booked on Mind of Mencia. Well, pre-booked, right? Pre-booked means we might hire you for the sketch that we were doing where he was going to play Jesus Christ. Okay?
I could see that.
I called my friend. I called my friends, but at the time, anyway, the guy who worked at the show, who was doing casting, and I said, is he booked on the show? They're like, no, but he's pre-booked. I was like, cool. I'd gotten a phone call from Bobby Lee that said, hey, Ned, don't give him any work on Magnum Mencia. He beat the shit out of me earlier today.
Beat the shit? Whoa,
Yeah.
wow.
So Ari Shaffir, 6'4", beat the shit out of Bobby Lee, 5 foot.
5 foot something.
5'6",
Yeah.
maybe 5, something like that. So that night I went to the Comedy Store. Ari Shaffir was there. I go, hey Ari, you gotta stop beating the shit out of Bobby, bro. He's like a midget compared to you. And he goes, I don't give a fuck. If I see him again, I'll beat the fuck out of him again. That tipped the scales for me.
Got it.
So I called my guy and I go, if we right now say you can't come, we're not taking away the job from him, right? They're like, nope, we haven't offered him the job yet. We just told them to prepare. We might give him a job. I said, don't give it to him. So because of Bobby, who asked me not to book him, and he reacted that way, I didn't put him on Mind of Mencia. That's when that shit started. That's when the whole wall bit started. From that. It wasn't from a joke. It wasn't from this. It wasn't from that. It was because of that moment. And so now he's full force, and he's on Rogan's camp going on all those podcasts. What I didn't realize was how much they were talking about me. I had no idea how, like, angry. I didn't realize, really, seriously, until last year, where I did a show on Vice, The Dark Side of Comedy.
Yeah.
That was the first time, and I had never heard it, bro. Literally, never heard it. That was the first time I went, holy shit, because they played an audio clip, and it was, dude, it was Rogan going, fuck that fucking fake motherfucking Mexican, like, hard. And I had no clue, bro. No clue that was happening. No clue that this was going down. And when I paid all the people, when the thing came out, that's why Rogan, by the way, everybody thinks it's me. That's why Mencia banned him, because of the video. Because that shit's supposed to be solved between us.
Yeah.
That shit should have been a story told right now by comedians about him beating the fuck out of me in the back, putting me in a chokehold because we got into a fight and I didn't back down. That's how that story should have been. If it was in the 80s and 90s back in the days, that's how that story would have ended. But it's a different time, right? So they used the internet and they came at me and I was told to let it go, to not address it in any way, shape, or form. So no episodes of Mine and Mencia in any way, shape, or form address this. They're not addressing any of my specials. So I just let it go because that's what I was told. And what that did was it just let that infestation grow. And nobody was there to stop it. Nobody was there to say, no, that's not what happened. That's not who it is.
The cancer was just growing and growing
well,
and
you
growing.
know, you saw it.
I was a witness.
Let's just be real. You saw the cancer growing in a way that I did not.
Yes.
Because you were a fan of mine. So before you even did stand-up, right?
Yeah.
You had to defend going to see me perform live to certain people.
I know, like, within the Latino comic community specifically, everybody, it was weird. There was like a 50-50 mix of Joe Rogan is defending the Latino community and the Latin comics. And I wasn't on that side. I'm like, what the fuck did I get from Joe Rogan? All he did was try to bring one of us down. And I have no respect for him trying to bring one of us down, especially when his mindset had nothing to do with jokes other than, like, if it's true that it was defending Ari Shaffir and that was his boy, okay, fine. But if now he's on stage and bashing you when you guys were friends.
In the podcast, it was bad from what I hear.
And yeah, and I've really didn't listen. It's like, well, I've never really listened to Rogan, and not for any particular reason. Like he's done my shows. I know Rogan. I'd say he's an acquaintance, not a friend,
right.
Not a friend necessarily.
Right.
But I think, all this, like he was the comedy police. And I saw you were really top of the food chain at the time. Joe wasn't. And Joe was still struggling to make it up there. And I'm just speaking my perspective. I don't know how true that is, but I knew how high you were in the stand-up world. And I just saw, like, you weren't defending anybody. Joe Rogan wasn't defending any Latin comics, but yet there was a lot of Latin comics that saw it that way. Because maybe you hopped onto a refried Friday night and took some of their spots. And who gives a shit?
I did.
Yeah, you took spots for me.
Yeah.
But you know who else did? Fucking Joe Rogan. Fucking Dave Chappelle.
Everybody else did.
Everybody's taking spots for me. But I was a young comic, and this was part of it.
Correct.
And I didn't see it as a negative way. I promise you, I'd still ask a club, can I still hang out and watch the show? I really want to see Rogan. Because in my mind, I thought Rogan was a brilliant comic. Mm-hmm. If I don't even know if this is the internet, but if you guys are fans of Rogan's stand-up, because unfortunately all these kids just know him as a podcaster and a UFC guy, and Rogan was a great, like, if you want to see some good stand-up, Rogan has this bit about the story of Noah's Ark from the perspective of an 8-year-old retarded boy. Mm-hmm. And it is one of my favorite bits of all fucking time. Yeah. I am not here to bash Joe Rogan. I'm just trying to see from, if his perspective was to defend his buddy Ari Shaffir, okay, I can give the guy some respect. You're trying to defend your boy the way you were defending Bobby Lee. Bobby Lee was your boy. So if that's what it was, and it grew to this monstrosity.
But it was more than that. That kind of visceral anger is personal. You know what I mean?
Do you think there was a bitterness,
don't know what it is,
jealousy?
You know what? Like, it's easy to say all that stuff. All I can say is, it wasn't. It wasn't. From what I heard, from the little bits that I heard, it wasn't. Hey, check this out. It was. Fuck that. That's something very, very personal.
That's very dark. And
I
deep.
did something to him that I have no idea what it was that hurt his feelings or pissed him off or something. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it was. It couldn't be. It couldn't be me doing jokes. Let's just say he was right. I never stole from him. Like, he's never accused me of stealing
that's my
from
point.
him.
Who was he defending? And like that's the point I'm trying to get. Like, are you really trying to be the comedy police, or was this really just a stupid Ari Shaffir thing?
I have no idea.
Because if this isn't an Ari Shaffir thing, he should at least respect for the fact that you defended your boy Bobby Lee, and he was just standing up for his buddy Ari Shaffir. End of fucking story. Let's move on with our fucking lives.
No, it just got bigger and bigger, and everybody had to say something. And then every person that I'd ever hurt, every person that I'd ever bumped that I rubbed the wrong way, when given an opportunity and a microphone and a camera were put in front of their face, it was just, ooh, I get to vomit all this vile shit that I've been holding in for this piece of shit Carlos for all this time.
Yeah.
And it was just, yeah. And then I started getting phone calls from people that I had worked with, that I brought up as young comedians, who were like, hey, I'm going to go on this podcast, and they're going to ask me about you. I don't want to have to defend you, bro. I don't want to get involved in any of this shit. And so I was like, then don't. Then just do your thing. Be yourself. Do you mind if I go on that podcast? I'm not going to tell you what to do with your career.
Yeah.
But basically, they were like, look, they're going to talk shit about you, and I'm not going to defend you. Is that okay? And every single person asked me that, I said, yeah. So it's what you need to do. You don't need to pay a price for me, just because you open for me, just because you're my friend. You need to do what you need to do for your career.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. And if you ever want to, interview anybody like that, one of them was Brad Williams. So he'll tell you exactly what I told him. I never wanted my shit coat to rub on anybody else, so I took it on all by myself. But I didn't realize, how hurtful I'd been, how many feelings I'd fucked with.
Yeah.
I had no idea, bro. No idea, because that's nothing I can identify with.
Yeah.
When Paul Mooney would run the light, I just loved watching him. When, Richard Pryor came in, I loved watching him. When Carlin came in, I didn't care. When Dice would go on for an hour and a half, I didn't care. I wanted to see, how do they do this?
Yeah.
What was it? And when all the other comedians would not be there because they're like, nobody wants to follow who's here. Me.
Yeah.
All right. I became the guy for years that would go on after these guys, because if you can go on after Martin Lawrence in the peak of Martin Lawrence,
yeah,
when he stops in and does a guest spot,
yeah,
if you can go on while Living Color is happening and go on after Damon Wayans and kill,
yeah,
you're doing something right. So this is where I was living. I was living in that space, and I was killing it. And my ego was filled. My life was filled. I loved being that guy. And then came the sad punch to my fucking face. You'd been a dick to these people in some way, shape, or form. And then I remember going, I got to go to therapy. If one person hates you, one person thinks you're a dick, whatever. When everybody thinks you're a dick, you gotta deal with that.
And you didn't see it. You weren't. Were
I
you
had
completely
no
oblivious to it?
Completely.
Were
bro.
you just to get? I'm trying to put myself in your head. Like, if you walk into the Improv on Melrose on a Friday night, are you walking in like the Godfather and everybody kiss my finger? I'm about to grace this stage.
Back then, yes, but that's not what I was thinking. So, did it come off that way? Yes. Did it come off like I'm the guy? Yes. What I was thinking was, I busted my fucking ass to be able to have this privilege. I'm going to go up on stage here, give this audience a boost, give the club a boost, because when a guy like me at the time shows up to any comedy club, it's hey, guess who's here?
Yeah.
Guess who's on stage? But I wanted to be able to go, and get in my car and drive a mile and a half to go to the Laugh Factory and do the same thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't that I was thinking I'm the shit. It was me having complete self-confidence and not even being concerned with anybody else, because it was like, but this happened to me all the time. I never got pissed. I never got offended. I never got hurt. I just didn't see their perspective. I couldn't. I was incapable of seeing their perspective. Do you know what I mean? I'm an immigrant.
Yeah.
I'm an immigrant that was told, if you work hard and bust your ass and apply yourself and go through the process, you can make it. So for me, it was like, I deserve this shit. It wasn't given to me. It wasn't handed to me.
Yeah.
I busted my ass. I'm working all the time. I'm getting on stage all the time. I'm writing all the time. I'm creating all the time. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm going on tour. I'm selling out. I'm doing specials. Like, I deserve this.
Yes.
So that's where my brain was. But to everybody else, it's just another thing, another reason to hate Carlos. You know what I mean? He's a liar. His name is Ned. He's not Mexican. He's taking advantage of the Latino thing. He's not even a Latino. And he steals everybody's jokes. Dude, I had no idea all that stuff was there. And when it hit me, I just brushed it off because, as you know, I'd hear, hey, somebody said something. Oh, they did? Are they still here? Yeah. Brr, brr. Hey, I heard this about you. Is it true that I never said that. So you and I don't have any problem? No, not at all. So I never took any of your shit. No, I never said that. Okay, done.
I've witnessed you do it.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that guy then turned around and kept saying the same shit after.
It's because they write on the story. Like, it's almost like it's such a part, it becomes part of their identity. And it was so long ago. Like, at this point, it's what? Like, almost 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
If you the best example, if you murdered somebody, you would have been out of prison by now, but some people still hold you in this stupid prison.
No. I have a better example. I have a much better example. I have a friend, his name is Juan Villarreal. Juan Villarreal tells a story, right? And the story goes like this. When I started doing, after my second HBO special, I get a phone call from Juan Villarreal. So Juan Villarreal is when I first did Loco Slam, he's the one guy I got in, right? I had one vote.
Yeah.
Like, they booked all the other comics. I was hosting it. DJ Humpty was there. I had one guy. That was Juan. Juan was a guy that I told HBO, this guy's raw, this guy's crazy, but he's funny as shit. He's the guy that I put in. So after that episode airs, he gives me a phone call from Corpus Christi, Texas. And he goes, hey, Ned, are you going to be coming to Corpus Christi? Why? Because I got paid $3,000 to headline. And Ned, you know I don't have that kind of time. So I did your act. And I was like, okay, well, I wasn't looking at it like other comedians, right, at the time. I looked at it like, that's a friend of mine.
Yeah, you did what's right by you.
To get paid, and he did it. He didn't call me to ask me if it was okay to do it.
He did it after the fact.
He did it after the fact. But we were doing an interview, and we told the story, and the DJ was like, this radio guy was like, that didn't happen. And he was there, so he goes, no, that really happened. And he goes, you stole his entire act. He goes, let me tell you something. I stole a car. I got caught. I went to jail for a year, and I had to be on probation for 3 years. I stole Carlos's jokes. I made $3,000. That's the difference. Now, what I relate it to is he stole a joke, he went to jail, and he's done. Right?
Yeah.
20 years later, I'm still financially paying for the shit that's been said about me. There's still negative repercussions about people, coming to see me perform. There's still whose jokes did he steal. There's still what's he going to tell. There's still, like, when you go, Carlos Mencia is this shiny object. There's still a lot of people that just go here and rub some shit on it and go, look at this shit, and look at this shit, and look at this shit. How shiny is it now?
I get
it's
it.
Still a part.
Being a part of your show, I get it. Like, you know what? this is my deal, my life, my decision. Go fuck yourself.
But
But they really trying to protect me. These are people really trying to protect me in their eyes.
But like, okay, like that, for example. Where's this proof? Do you know what I'm saying?
I asked for
Like,
it.
I could understand if there's this proof that I was doing it. That's the part, well, that's one of the parts that is so,
Frustrating,
no, dude.
infuriating,
No.
hurtful.
Hurtful.
Bah, I
It's
got it.
hurtful, dude. It's hurtful because it's like, show me the evidence of this thing that you're talking. Because if what they're saying to you is true, right? If they're literally saying to you, hey, be careful what you do in front of Carlos. You know, he takes all these jokes. There would be so much evidence on the internet of me doing a joke and somebody else doing that joke before me.
Yeah.
It would be everywhere, right? Because these comedians would have put it in and done it. There's none. We're still talking about a wall joke that 10 people did and a joke that sounds very similar to something that Bill Cosby did that I addressed with him himself. It's like, I don't have to talk to anybody about this. This wasn't your joke. This was Cosby's joke. I talked to Cosby. We settled it. We're good. I don't have to talk to anybody else about this.
Yeah.
Because I have people that are like, well, what about the Cosby bit? Yeah, I talked to him about it. Well, maybe you should apologize. I did. To him. So you apologize for stealing his joke? No, because I don't ever remember stealing his joke. But I did say, if that happened on a subconscious level, God, I'm so sorry. You know, that's not anything that I would ever want to do on purpose. So, but the story of that joke, here's the story of that joke. It's so fucking weird, dude, where sometimes I'm like, is there a fucking destiny? Is this how this shit works?
Yeah.
Because so much of this stuff just falls into it. So I'm doing the special. We have 2 shows at the Fillmore, right? This is my second HBO special. Oh, no, my first big special for Comedy Central is No Strings Attached. First show, I did this whole bit about how women complain, you know, about work and they don't get enough work and all this stuff. And the whole bit was like, look, you should be grateful on the other side that kids hold you such high regard, right? Like, no matter how good a dad is, we just will never get the respect that a mother does, right? Just a mother just gets that respect. Like on Mother's Day, what kind of gifts do women get on Mother's Day? Bum, bum, bum. What kind of gifts did dad get? Joke, 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 right?
Yeah.
And so in the midst of all that was this joke about how guys are the ones that want their kids to play football. Women are the ones that are like, no, he's going to get hurt. We have to protect him. But then once they make it to the NFL, you got to say anything to anybody? Hi, Mom. Like, what the fuck,
Yeah.
bro? I was the one that took you to fuck. I was the one that showed you how to catch. I was the one that threw you. Your mom was the one that said, no, don't do this. Now you think it hurt? So that was a whole big thing in the middle of it. So I get off stage, and Jeff Schimmel goes, hey, you did a joke right now that sounds very similar to a joke that Bill Cosby does. And I went, are you fucking kidding me, dude? Fucking seriously? I've never seen one of his specials. He's not my type of comedian. I respect him. I love him. But I want to hear crazy, edgy comedians. That's my shit. Yeah. That's what I like. I don't know what you're talking about. That being said, I said, just make sure it doesn't get on the internet, on the special, and I'm never going to do the joke again. And guess what? I never did that joke again. That joke was never told after I was told that it sounds similar to somebody else. Problem is, special comes out, edited version. Then somebody does a DVD release.
Huh. The director's cut?
Expanded version. Whoever that person was didn't know that joke was not supposed to be on that special.
Got it.
So he put it on that special, not knowing that it was supposed to be on. And that's how that joke ended up there. It was never supposed to be there.
On a DVD extra. It's a DVD extra.
Never did the joke again. Never put it out there again. I listened. I did the right thing. That being said, it doesn't matter, right? Because the way it evolved, it looked like, you know, whoever believes that that's what I did, that's what I did. And because there's the narrative of he's an asshole, he doesn't care, he's insensitive. He steals jokes, just falls into that category so easily.
Yeah.
Right? And I think the hard part for me was, a decade-long journey into who am I? What kind of person do I want to be? What kind of person am I coming off as? What kind of person am I trying to be? And where are these moments? Where are these spaces where I can exist? And if I...
All right, guys. This episode was way too long to consolidate in one episode that we had to make a second episode. So keep track. This is the end of episode 1.